Welcome to AITS's TechnoFile podcast. I'm Tremaine Island, along with a special guest speaker today, Dr. Shane Trayers. She is an expert in everything apocalyptic and zombies, pretty much everything that's cool, essentially. So she is our expert opinion on the Walking Dead TV show, and today we're going to talk about the last two episodes of this season. And how do you feel overall about the Walking Dead TV series?
The first seasons are great. This last season I have described as these are the days of our zombies, because of the sort of soap opera effect of the characters throughout most of the last episodes. I do think they redeemed themselves with the finale to a certain extent. And I was really excited when the barn burned down because, no, sorry for spoilers, but because I was really wanting them to move on at that point. They spent way too much time at the farm. And
that's funny. I agree with you on that. And that makes me wonder, did the director get the emotion that he really wanted to with the barn burning down? Maybe it's supposed to be, but I was like, yeah, awesome. Let's get off of this farm because it's kind of horrible. It's slow paced. They try to do dialogue with the characters and backstory. It's just not well written. I don't feel attachment to those scenes. You know, when they're escaping for their lives, running for the zombies, that's when I feel the show is at its strongest.
And it was kind of a low blow for killing Dale and Shane in the last two episodes because it was meant to give us that emotional pull, sure, but it didn't work organically within the show. And they also picked the two characters who disagreed, which gave the show a very nice kind of flavor to it because having all the characters agree with Rick all the time doesn't really work. So killing off Dale and Shane, who are the only ones to say, Rick, you're really, really wrong, and trying to get us to have that emotional response of, oh no, let's not kill off the best characters, you know, besides Daryl, who's my favorite.
And T-Dog, because he's awesome.
He needs to do something. He needs to get off. He started shooting people, and I was very excited, actually, because he has not, I don't think he has had like 3 lines this entire season.
If you play a drinking game where T-Dog is just in the scene and not speaking, you're going to be drunk like 5 minutes into the episode. Seriously.
But if you do it based off of when he talks, you're going to be completely sober.
Yeah, like this game is horrible. Right?
But he is a fantastic underutilized character that, you know, he's fantastic because he defies the sort of thug stereotype that they put on him from the very get-go, but they just don't use him. You know, he sits around in the background going like this.
Exactly.
The entire time.
Exactly. I mean, he's really it's become a Where's Waldo with T-Dog, in all honesty. There were like 2 episodes where he was not even there, and I did not notice. That's
exactly. And I hope he's not getting paid by the word. That's
exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
If he is, he's got a really bad contract.
I know. And it's like you would say, I really thought, as far as T-Dog going into the finale, last 2 episodes, that he was a red shirt. Mm-hmm. He had been there long enough, but he really didn't contribute. So yeah,
and then he gets the 3 women to talk him into turning, or 2 women to talk him into turning around. He's like, no, I refuse. Turn around. Okay.
Every trip that I take, that happens. Every time. Every zombie apocalypse.
The women turn to make you turn around.
Turn around. I mean, seriously.
Well, and my feeling on the women characters, of course, is that this sort of follows with the average post-apocalyptic television show or film in that the women characters are often helpless. And I know that your comment's going to be Andrea, but as I think we've talked about before, Andrea in the comics is completely different than Andrea in the television show.
She is.
And I'm not as familiar with the comics, you might want to talk about that.
Andrea is a very, very strong character in the comics. She almost becomes the second in command to Rick in some ways. Her ability with a sniper rifle is, I mean, she's very good as a lookout. She has saved the group numerous times in the comic book. But to judge this show on its own, when I originally saw her character, I did not like her at all. You know, there's nothing likable or redeemable about her character. But when she started to hang around Shane, you can see that same mentality there. That, okay, we just need to get this stuff done. Let's quit talking about it.
She has it, but also if you take a look at her specifically, because that sort of gender is also an area I like to look at. She gets attacked by zombies more than any other character in the entire one. And also, there's sequences where she can't make her gun work. And guns are symbolically masculine, and of course Shane, being sort of the owner of the gun, allows her to have the gun occasionally.
Yeah.
And even when she shoots on her own, she says, no, I want to shoot. She ends up shooting Daryl in the head.
One time that happened.
You know, so so it's right. That's the only time that she ever actually was allowed to shoot on her own. All the rest of the time, she gets sanctioned by either Rick or Shane or someone else, or Dale, you know, even Dale. And of course, Dale tries to take all the guns away from everybody. But Andrew's character is left to die in the finale.
They tried to set.
She's trying to kick butt, but she cannot shoot. Like, there's no gun. Well, I mean, she has some gun usage, but something always happens where Andrea's being attacked and has to kill people with screwdrivers or other things. So the lack of a gun bothers me to a certain extent.
She doesn't need a gun. She's that hardcore. She was doing pretty good in the woods,
Which makes me excited about the woman in the hood.
Yes, that is Michonne. If you have read the comic books, you kind of know how awesome her character is. I was, as excited as I was to see her come on the show, I was worried because she is such a comic book character. I wondered how that would transition into this quote-unquote real-world zombie apocalypse. But just from the snippet that she was in, that one scene with the sword and spoilers. If you're watching this, spoilers. All abound, okay? Yeah, it's too late, so there you go.
Tough luck.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the zombies on chains, awesome stuff. So it really looked like that was taken directly from the comic book. And because, I mean, it makes sense because Robert Kirkman, he's actually, I believe, executive producer. He also wrote the comic book, so he has a lot of input in what goes in there, and I think he captured that scene very well. So, unfortunately, Tara from True Blood is not Michonne, unfortunately.
That makes me sad.
I know. I fell to the rumors. I thought it was going to happen, but it's another actress. I don't know her name. Maybe she'll be awesome. I'm getting over my
heartbreak.
In my heartbreak, exactly. But we'll see how it goes, and I'm interested to see, because obviously they're going to meet back up with Rick's group.
And we got a glimpse of the prison, which is where they're headed next, right?
Yes. Well, obviously it's going to take some while. It's not just going to be a jump in a skip, so it'll be interesting to see that journey. But yeah.
Yeah, because that pan was a pretty long
It was. It's going to be a while.
And I thought it was a little cliche with Rick's. There's probably a place where we could all live and protect ourselves, and it's probably just somewhere right around here, or I don't know, maybe I'm a dreamer, and I expected him to get into John Lennon or something right there, and then of course the pan, which is like, oh yeah, by the way, it's right behind you, you idiot. So
so let's talk about some other characters on the show. Let's just go ahead and get out the gate here. Carl, your opinion of Carl and how awesome this little guy is. Yeah, he's Just go ahead and take it away.
My sister keeps texting me every time, because my sister watches the show as well, and she keeps texting me and she's like, is Carl a sociopath now? ? And it's like, and what I think is interesting is it reminds me of the youngest son on Weeds, named Shane, who went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but did it in a way that was very good and believable. But Carl is not believable, because he went from little kid who lost his little friend, Sophia, to I'm crazy and I like to watch people get killed, now I'm going to shoot Zombie Shane in the head in like 10 seconds. And
awesome shot, by the way.
Yes.
Apparently.
Well, one of my friends was like, is he really dead? I'm like, yes, he's really dead. Because not only did they kill him once, they killed him twice. Which makes me think he might have pissed the writers off.
I think he was just that awesome. They had to bring Carl in.
Like, not only are you dead, you are really dead. We're not even bringing you back as talking Zombie Shane, yeah.
How many people does it take to watch Carl? When is Carl ever in the house? I mean, at any point. I mean, we've already lost Sophia. You'd think these characters would be vigilant.
Well, and Lori does not get Mom of the Year.
She's a terrible mother.
She's an awful mother.
And terrible driver.
And
well. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's half a mile down the road. Look at this map. Oh.
Well, that's why you shouldn't look at maps while driving in the apocalypse. Ever. Yeah, ever. And that's why women should not go off on their own in the apocalypse.
You heard that here, right there. That's like rule number 17.
That really is, and in television and movies, it's very cliche that way. That women, whenever they do go, okay, I'm going to go over here and go into the woods for a second, they're dead. That's the way it works. But yeah, Carl is kind of scary actually, and I don't know where they're going with this. But if that's supposed to be the next generation, then America's doomed.
very doomed. Well, if they did it in a natural progression with his craziness, that would, because it makes sense that he is disturbed, but they, like you said, it was like a light switch.
Or for survival, or because he was placed in these situations. But he didn't have to follow his dad out there. No. He didn't have to go into the barn. He would sit there and watch Randall, which is really stalker creepy. Yeah. So yeah, I think that character could have been taken in a completely different way, and if he's going to be a mini Shane, that's going to be interesting. But I don't know. Yeah.
Speaking of Shane, nice segue. How do you feel the show is going to do now without... First of all, how do you feel about his character, and then how do you feel the show is going to do without his presence?
Well, he is my namesake. Yes. Since we have the same name. And so I had an affection for him from the very beginning. But one of the interesting things about him is that Walking Dead is considered a Western by many scholars. And it's interesting because it's on the East Coast. But what happens in Apocalypse is everything, when the electricity goes out and there's no resources, almost everything becomes a Western. So the Shane character was actually invoking the earlier, Alan Ladd, Shane of Westerns, and I'm wondering if that's going to peter out. If we're going to go less Western, because not everything apocalyptic is Western, and more, urban situations, or like the prison, if it's going to change, and if maybe in this transition from Western to something new, we had to lose him, And I did find it sort of redundant after a while, oh, Shane's just going to do something idiotic, and, but I was very sad to see him go, because he was at least a objection. He would have objections to Rick's plans, and that made it interesting. And now I can't see who would object. Maybe T-Dog will come back and finally have an opinion.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Say, no, I don't want to do this for
It's amazing. But once they leave the farm, T-Dog's lines ramped up just considerably, just all of a sudden. It's like he found
right, it's like prison, and that's kind of weird. Like, he's headed towards prison. Let's have him talk now,
Yeah. Or maybe just found a script. I don't know.
Well, and Dale dying really hurt me, because I thought that he was a voice of reason that they just don't have. And Herschel can't do that. Herschel's too post-alcoholic to really be the voice of reason when it comes to these things. So we needed Dale. We just did, and when he was ripped open, and I knew, like, stomach wounds, I don't even know anything about medicine, but I knew the second you open up somebody's intestines, they're gone.
You can't
when they're like, Herschel, come, and he's like,
That's
what the heck are you trying to ask me to do, guys? Because this is not possible,
I'm a vet, first of all, so
I could probably fix the kids with a zombie cow before.
Come on.
Well, and everybody has to get shot at some point too. But my favorite character that you haven't talked about is what I call Redneck Daryl.
Redneck Daryl is awesome. You got a crossbow in the Apocalypse. You're already the coolest character ever. So.
Is he going to get together with Carol? Because I really don't want that to happen.
Unfortunately, that's where I see it's going. It's like,
because she's such a cougar.
I don't know about that. She's just hanging around as well. I kind of felt like, once again, after Sophia died, first of all, she's done nothing whatsoever besides cry. Which, she lost her daughter, but it's like, I just feel, once again, she's another red shirt waiting to happen. Keep her along long enough.
Well, she was around in the beginning because of Ed, because of the domestic violence that was already going on, and the fact that she was so beaten down from the get-go, that the apocalypse didn't change her life at all, which was really kind of funny, because the zombie apocalypse comes along and it's like, oh, same old, she's gonna beat me later tonight, and then of course when you're bad man, you get eaten by zombies like her husband did, and then losing the child, in a way she's now free to be the person that she could be, and that sounds awful, I know, but I think that's where the show is going, to give her a personality by saying these characters had put you in a box, and you were mother, you were wife, you were someone to beat on, and now she has a chance to actually come out of the shell. But I think she's really just there to try to make Daryl feel better.
I think that's exactly what.
You're a man.
Yeah, and
you're such a great man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, she tried to. Yeah, and she even tried to talk him up to, you're as good as Rick and Shane, which he definitely is. But I think Daryl kind of works good in that loner type thing.
Oh, and like the visions of Merle.
Oh, yes.
That he had such a weird upbringing, and that weird upbringing is perfect for the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be an American survivalist, have a brother who, like, beats the crap out of you all the time, because that's going to get you prepared.
Older brothers? You listening to that? Train them.
You have to absolutely beat on them, yeah, in order to, you know. But he, I think his character is exceptionally well developed, except for after Sophia died. Doing that, like, I'm going off on my bike to pout thing seemed weird.
I thought it felt natural, just considering how much time that he actually dedicated it. And even when she initially was lost, he was telling her she's fine. You know, he had that, you know, optimistic personality. But to find out that it was the worst possible outcome, and she was there the whole time, which time-wise doesn't make sense anyway.
But I guess I just want him to share his feelings.
Yeah.
Like, go to a therapist. I know we don't have them in the apocalypse, but, you know, go to a therapist, get those feelings out, and be okay with it. Because he really is the best one. He's the one that's most prepared to survive, and I think that loner thing is he doesn't need the group. Everybody else needs a group. He'd be perfectly fine without them. The group needs him.
Exactly. So he may start sharing that. Well, not sharing, but being more integrated now that Shane has left the spot open as Rick's BFF. Just gonna slide in there.
It's always great when the friend gets killed off, so you can have that spot.
It's always good.
So tell me a little bit about the infection things that are going on. That's more towards the comics, right?
That is the comics, yeah. And I kind of called that when they did the whole CDC storyline, which I did not enjoy. When Jennings, yes, whispered in Rick's ear. Yeah, everybody's already infected. So no matter what you die of, you're gonna, as long as your brain is still intact, you will become Walking Dead. So, yeah. And I hated how Rick just kind of just threw it out there. Oh, by the way, we're kind of already infected. So, you guys want to make camp or some s'mores? You know. And
we're not going to get to zombie animals, are we? Because I thought Resident Evil 3, when they did that, was just kind of silly.
You know what the best Resident Evil movie was? None of them. They're all horrible.
I love Resident
terrible
Evil.
movies.
I love
Maybe the
1
first
and
one.
4.
Even the cameraman's agree. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, 2-1. Horrible movie.
Oh man, you have to go into it with the more comic booky.
I do, but I just can't get over some of the scenes. Like, what was Afterlife? Was the last one that came out?
That was my favorite because the two women get all wet and then pose, and they have this moment where they're like, "I'm hot and I'm now drenched," you know, and then they pause and then they go back to fighting the thing. Oh, it's hilarious. I love those kinds of things.
It happens every time. All the parties. There's a crazy ass man and a wet t-shirt.
You know,
scene.
it's a wet t-shirt contest. You know, monster killing moment.
It's crazy.
You know, how often do you get those in film? So
it's just,
yeah, but I do like that. But
and making another one. So.
But anyway, so
nice segue. Yeah.
So everybody's infected. So everybody that dies, is this going to give us more zombies? Is that the purpose?
They actually, and I'm on currently issue number 89. Right now, the book is just about survival.
Is Herschel in the comics, or is he a new character?
Herschel was in the comics. The people that were not in the comics were Daryl, the prisoner that they found. Obviously, Shane lived longer. Carol was completely different. Sophia survived. She's still alive. So that was a big shocker to everyone that watched it. And I mean, that's good that they take these twists, because you don't want to go down that same path. You want to change some things around. I don't want to be like, oh, I see what's happening exactly there. They'll take certain, tones. The governor, he's going to be a great character that shows up next season. He's really out there. So just be prepared. What I'm waiting for, and we'll go ahead and talk about it, maybe my favorite character, because he actually let it out, Rick. How have you felt about Rick, and how do you feel about Rick after the finale?
I think the killing of the two men who came into the bar, I don't remember their names. I think one of them was Dave or something. They were red shirts anyway. Exactly. And I think when he killed them because they wanted to come to the farm and he needed to protect his family, and so he did what he had to do. He is becoming, I think that's why the Shane character being killed off is not as big of a deal, as he's becoming so much more like Shane every day that, his whole speech about if you don't want to follow me, don't, but this is not a democracy. He's really headed down that road of, I think he's going to make some really bad choices, and I imagine as one of the leads, they can't really get rid of him, but it's sort of, he's going to at least be on the outs with the people that he's with. So that's again, I don't have the comic book leeway into this, but I do think that he's going to become the dissenting character to a certain extent.
And I think you're right, and this is what I've wanted to see. That's why they had you had that relationship between Rick and Shane. It was just they were polar opposites in so many ways. Rick can never make up his mind, and I think in this world you kind of have to be steadfast in your decisions. You can't be wishy-washy. Like with the whole prisoner, we're gonna let him go. We're not gonna let him go. We're gonna feed him. I don't know. Give him a bath.
Well, and you have other strong leaders. I mean, Herschel could be a strong leader if he really tried. I don't think they'll go that route, but he could. And I think Daryl is being set up to be the new leader of the group.
It's a possibility.
Because they keep saying, "Hey, maybe you should lead the group." And it's not really subtle or
Just
anything, but
Throwing that out there.
and he's not like, I don't want to be leading no group because I'm redneck Daryl.
Yeah.
But I do think they're heading that way where I think there is going to have to be some kind of showdown between Daryl and Rick because they're just, I think it's being set up to go that way.
Yeah.
Of course, the new characters could completely change that because adding in outside people can kind of make a group cohesive. So if they have to fight against something different, that's one of the great things about zombies is we stop caring about things like class. We stop caring to a certain extent. We stop caring a little bit about race. We stop caring a little bit about other things because we've got another other to fight. So zombies can be bonding.
There you go.
Yeah. They can actually make societies sort of focus on humanity versus others rather than, individuals in humanity versus others.
All about survival, right there.
Yeah.
And going back to Rick, I think they wanted us to maybe dislike him towards the end, but the way it was delivered, I was like, it makes sense. He's been doing all these things, and all of a sudden Carol's turned on him. All of a sudden, what are you gonna do? I'm like, what do you think I've been doing this whole time? It's like, wow. It's like, where did that come from?
I think that's because she's in love with Daryl.
Possibly. And I guess it didn't help that when Rick told Lori, the best character ever on TV, that he killed Shane. Oh my God, she's freaking out now.
Well, I don't get that. I don't get that because didn't she come to him earlier and say, Shane is a problem, please take care of him, blah, blah, blah. And then he kills him and she's like, I didn't mean for you to kill him, And he's like, well, what did you expect, woman? You said, go take care of him, And then he, you knew what he was like. So I thought those were crocodile tears.
It was a bit of an overreaction. Her character has been
And why is she not getting any more pregnant?
It's a very good question.
Have you noticed that?
That is a very good
I don't
question.
know how long this was supposed to go because time kind of seems a little bit wonky with this, but I would think she would start being a little bit more pregnant.
Yeah. I have no idea. I have not liked her character from the get-go. Maybe that's what they want us to do because she's not a likable character in the comic. But her reasons in the comic are because Rick keeps going away. That's the main thing. Here, she just makes stupid decisions. In my opinion, like I said.
And she is stronger than I didn't even memorize the names of Herschel's women. Except for Maggie, who I love. But the blondes. When one of them got eaten at the finale, I was like, I don't even know who you are at this point. Like, I can't keep track. And even that was once with one trying to commit suicide. Like, it was sort of. It was blah. Yeah, I was like, who are you? Why do we care about you?
Exactly.
I mean, Otis I liked a lot, and I thought Otis was the first turning point for Shane becoming the bad character. But the rest of them at Herschel's Farm, I just felt, besides Maggie, were random people, and I didn't care when they died, which is sad.
Like Herschel's son, the RV, that was completely okay, awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that he was there actually, and that was the one that he just got upset that he had guns in the first place. And I forgot he had his son.
Yep, see? There you go. Look out for the red shirts, people.
I know, I totally forgot about that. And like I said, it was just kind of, the women characters just are not developed to the point where they really should be.
Hopefully Michonne changes that with her introduction, because I'm pretty sure she'll be able to handle herself.
She looks awesome.
She does.
I'm very excited.
She does. How do you feel they've handled the zombies, just in general on the show? Their depiction of the zombies, the herds, all that stuff.
Oh, I think the herds are fantastic, and the makeup artists are amazing.
Yes.
And I know that this is obviously done somewhere around Atlanta, actually, and so it's just amazing to me. Sophia was giving an interview in a magazine, and she was talking about the makeup that they put on her, and she looked in the mirror and scared herself. And it just, the makeup I think is fantastic. The diversions, I can't look sometimes, and that means it's pretty darn good.
Yeah. When
their faces are falling off because they're pushing it through the windshield or those
Oh,
things.
yeah.
So the extras, are just phenomenally good and believable. You don't sit there going like, oh, that's a person in a zombie suit. You're actually like, oh. I don't want to be there, you know. I need to move out of Atlanta.
Yeah. So if you woke up one day and they were shooting and you had no idea what was happening.
Oh no, I think I would freak out. I would absolutely freak out. And Max Brooks, who wrote Zombie Survival Guide, says get a machete because they don't run out of ammunition. So yeah, that's what you need.
Exactly.
You need a machete instead.
Which is what they're starting to do on the show now. Okay. We're actually getting told to wrap it up, Mr. Cameraman. So there you go. Next time, there you go. Cut it at the yeah. But thank you, Dr. Treyers, for showing up and giving your excellent opinion on this show and the zombie apocalypse in general. Hope to have you on here again when the season returns in the fall. Thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to Facebook us, Twitter, AOL, Yahoo. I don't know what else is out there.
There's too much social media.
Yeah, there's way too much.
Well, thank you for having me too.
All right, thank you.